Hello everyone. So today, I'm gonna present to you about my answer from midterm exam in management information system. So before we gonna start to present, I gonna introduce myself. So my name is Kadek Aditya Dwi Permana, number 22, and I from 4A Managerial Accounting class. So we're gonna move to the first question. The question number one. Okay, we're gonna start from the question number one. The question number one is the explain the difference between data and information and include the example in the both of the data and information. So for the answer, let's move to the next slide. Okay, before we gonna know the difference between data and information, I gonna explain to you the means of the data and the informations. Start from the data. So what's the data? The data is the raw fact, numbers, or symbol that haven't been processed and lack clear meaning or context for the user. Besides of that, the meaning of the information is the data that has been processed, organized, and analyzed so that it has meaning, context, and very useful for decision making in the company. For example of the data, I have a burger, 100 portion, 1 million rupiah, burger Bangor, Juli, and 2025. Beside of that, the example of the information, I have the explain the burger Bangor have sales 100 portion burger in July 2025. Beside the sales, burger Bangor get a revenue in 1 million rupiah. So that's the difference between data and information. If the data is raw fact and number and don't have a context for the user, the information is have the context and very useful for the decision making in the a company. So that's all about the answer number question number one, and we're gonna move to question number two. Okay, we have question number two. So the question number two is describe DVD the following production cycles along with example of threats and solution. So in this slide we have production cycles in the diagram. So we're gonna describe the diagram and we're gonna uh, have a example give an example of the threat and solution. Okay, the first I'm gonna describe this diagram. uh, we're gonna move to the next slide. Okay, so this is the my explanation of production cycle DVD, and this is the diagram. We have a diagram of production cycles. I gonna start from the product design. So the product design is the first is preparing the production foundation. When designing a product, the design team compiles a list of raw materials required for the production process of the product to be manufactured. To ensure the availability of the materials to be used. Next, in addition to compiling the list of raw materials, the product design department creates an operation list detailing that sequence of steps involved in manufacturing the product. Once the draft list of raw materials and operation are complete, the production design department will send cost estimate and standard directly to the cost accounting department to serve as a reference for the company financial calculation in the final stage. It will also the design product department send the uh, list of raw materials and operational to the planning and scheduling department. The next step is in the planning and scheduling department. In the scheduling and planning department, armed with the information from the revenue cycle, which provide customer order data and sales forecast, the planning and scheduling department begins to formulate a production strategy. This department active reference to the bill of operation and bill of materials sent by the product design department to determine exactly which specification needs to be prepared. If raw materials in the warehouse are deemed insufficient, the planning department will send a request document to the expenditure cycles. At the same time, they also calculate and send labor requirement to the human resource or the payroll management cycles, and then receive feedback in the form of a list of available labor. Once our resources are confirmed to be ready, the planning department will send the data to update the work in process and finish goods database. As the execution step, the planning and scheduling department release the order stored to the production order archive uh, to handling over physical instruction document, including production order, raw material, request, and transfer card, which flow directly to the Next step in the production operation, as the physical production phase begin, the product operation department start the production process, strictly adhering to the three instruction document issued by the planning department. As production continues, this process continuously provide production information on work in progress database as a form of reporting on the ongoing production process. Once the production process is complete, the production operation department routinely collects and resubmit the work history document, namely the time card, transfer card, and raw material request to the cost accounting department, so that the economic value of the use of this resource can be calculated by the accounting department. Next, the last step is the as a central hub of our financial and operational data. The cost accounting department receive information from various sources to perform final calculation. Uh, they receive cost standard from the production design department, physical activity records such as time cards, transfer cards, and raw material requests from the product operation department, as well as detail on raw materials costs and overhead from the expenditure cycle and labor costs from the uh, HR management or payroll cycle. To reconcile nominal amounts with physical inventory, cost accounting perform two-way data matching with our primary database, namely raw materials, operation list, work in progress, and finished goods. Once a product is complete and its total value is calculated, information regarding the availability of finished goods is sent back to the revenue cycle as an indication that the product is ready for sale. Additionally, the cost accounting department distribute calculation result by sending the cost of goods manufactured to the general ledger and reporting system for journal entries, and present a comprehensive report to management for the purpose of evaluating and making business decisions regarding the product. So that's all about the explanation of products production cycle in diagram. Next, we move to the fitness and solution. I'm sorry, traits and solution from the production cycle. Okay, after the describe of the diagram production cycles, next we have the example of traits and solution beside of the production cycles. So I'm gonna start from the first traits. The first traits is poor product design can lead to excessive production costs. So the solution of these threats is conduct routine variance, analyze, and implement concurrent engineering by involving production and marketing teams from the early design stage. So that's the first traits. The second traits is overproduction or underproduction of goods. So the solution for these threats is use accurate production planning system like master production schedule or MPS and enterprise resource planning or ERP to integrate with sales forecast. So that's the second threats. The third threats is thief of inventory and machine breakdowns. So the solution for these threats is restrict physical access to the factory and warehouse area and implement a preventive or routine maintenance schedule for machine. So that's the third threats. The last threats is inaccurate recording of cost data, leading to miscalculated costs of good manufacture. So what's the solution of these traits? So the solution is we we can automate we can use automate cost data collection. For the example, using barcode or RFID and restrict access to the recording system. So that's all about my answer to the question number two. So next we are moved to question number three. Okay, we next move to the question number three. So the question number three, we have the study case, and we have to assessing the weakness of SCOSO internal control on the expenditure cycles. Okay, we move to the next slide in the study case. Okay, so this is the study case in the question number three. So this study case is from ABC MSMES or micro small medium enterprise, and this business is production of for frozen food, and the company in the question have four problem. So for the for the explain and answer this question, I'm gonna start from the identify what happened in this company and what's the solution for the company to finish their problem. Okay, so I'm gonna start from the identify the problem. Okay, so this is the identification of big points of internal control in the ABC MSME expenditure cycles. So after identification the company, I get 11 weakness of this problem of this company for the expenditure cycle. So the first weakness is the purchasing of raw materials is carried out by the production department without a formal purchase request or PR document. That's the first weakness. The second is there is a duplication of that duty by the administrative staff. In the question, the name of staff is Dina. So the creates so this so Dina is create the purchasing order or PO, and also Dina handles the accounting records. So there is have so the company have staff to getting to get handle to job in the company. The third the next is there is no segregation of data between the PO maker and the transaction recorder when the treasurer makes payment. The second weakness is duplicate payment were made to the supplier. In the question is PT Sumber Pangan Sejahtera for the same invoice. The next is the duplicate payment occurred on invoice number of the invoice is SPS slash one 118 slash 3 slash 2026. So and the amounting in the invoice is 3 million 250,000 rupiah. The next is the treasurer made the duplicate payment because they only received a copy of the invoice from Dina without knowing that the invoice had already been paid. So the double paid in the problem. The next is there is a difference of uh, in the petty cash, and the amount of the difference is 4 million 850,000 rupiah was found in the petty cash. The next problem is there are proof of expense that are not signed by the party received the money. The next is some expense are recorded merely as operation expense without specific details. Next is the recording system use a simple cashier application and Excel without access restriction, allowing all administrative staff to change the file. And the last weakness of this company is the recording system has no data backup and no change log. So that's the my identification, and I get the 11 weakness or problem in the ABC MSME company. Next, we are moved to what's the connection, the this weakness, and with relevant causal component. So we are moved to the next slide. Okay. Next, we move to the connection the weakness in the ABC MSMES. And what's the relevant to the COSO component. Okay, the first COSO component we have is control environment. The weakness is indicated by expense proof lacking receiver signature and undetailed operation expenses, reflecting the company ABC MSMES is weak culture of accountability. The next component is risk assessment. From the weakness is evident from the Excel system that can be changed by all admin staff, as well as the lack of the data backup and change logs. That's indicate the management ABC has not mitigate data security risks from the financial report of the company. The next component is control activities. From the weakness, it identified by the absence of the purchase request document, the lack of segregation of duty for the PO maker and transaction recorder, and the lack of the document cancellation procedure, which trigger duplicate payment. The next is information and communication. The weakness occurred when the copy of the invoice was given by Dina to the treasurer without clear communication regarding the paid status of the invoice. And the last component is monitoring. What's the connection is this weakness is shown by the newly discovered petty cash difference of 4,850,000 rupiah, indicate the absence of routine check or audit on daily financial report in the company. So that's the connection, the weakness of and the causal component. Next, we are moved to the potential risks in the weakness. Okay, next we are moved to the potential risks that rise to due to the this weakness. After in the we are indicate identification the weakness that have in the ABC and the connection, the weakness with the causal component. The next is the what's the potential risk the as the result of the weakness in the company. So uh, from the weakness, I have five risks, five potential risks as the result of the weakness. The first risk is fraud. The fraud and the thief of company found due to employee manipulating cash. Disbursement on the gate because of in the quick segregation of data. The second risk is of direct cash lost due to duplicate payments to supplier for the same invoice. The third is risk of losing petty cash asset because fund can be disbursed without valid documentation and clear receiver identity. The next risk is risk of permanent loss of all financial data in the event of a system failure due to the lack of data backup. And the last of the potential risk is the company risk of manipulating financial report figures because any admin staff can freely change Excel files without leaving a trace or change logs. So that's the potential risks as a result of the weakness in the company. The next is recommendation improvement for a small scale MSME. We move to the next slide. Okay. The after we have to identification what the weakness of the company and what's the potential risk as a result of the weakness in the company. Next, I have the recommendation improvement for the ABC MSME. The first recommendation is require the production department to fill out the written purchase request or PR from before the administration department process the purchase. The second recommendation is implement strict segregation of duty so that's the administrative staff who creates POs is not authorized to record cash disbursement transaction. The next recommendation is instruct the treasurer to only make payment if there is a match between the PO receiving report and original invoice or three-way matching. The next is require stamping paid on the original invoice and all supporting documents immediately after payment is made to prevent repeat payments using document copies. The next recommendation is require every petty cash disbursement to include detailed allocation description and be signed by the petty party receiving the money. Next is schedule routine and surprise physical cash count by the business owner to monitor fund security. And the last recommendation is provide password protection for Excel documents, limit file editing access only to directly authorized parties, and the last is the backup data to cloud storage at the end of its workday. So that's about the recommendation improvement for the ABCM SME, and that's my answer from the question number three. Okay, so that's all about my answer for the question midterm exam in management information system. Before I closing this video, I have to being really sorry to all of you in to click this video uh, for the my mistake in the answer or miscommunication and misunderstanding for from my explain. So that's all about me, and thank you for your listening. Goodbye.